behalf of the Department of Public Works and Highways, Secretary Mark Villar, represented by its alternate representative, Undersecretary Robert Bernardo here, who is very tirelessly working since day one of this task force unification, tirelessly working for the outputs of Dpwh, especially on key results area 1, which is to build resilient infrastructures. Para po sa kalaman nating lahat, ating pong tignan sa board yung ating pong plan or methodology on how we will approach ito pong pag-restore natin and to rehabilitate Marikina River. Hindi po ito totoo na from out of nowhere, we will just dredge it, gaya po na sabi natin butihing mayor. Ito po ay pinagplanuhan, and through concerted efforts and weeks of planning and even months of planning, we were able to come up with this plan. Atin po munang bisitahin ano po ba ang nangyari dito sa parte ng Marikina River during that time. If my clicker allows, let me click it next. Series of slides pwede po natin pagbasihan. Actually, it is not only Typhoon Ulysses that affected us. You may focus your attention on the screen. Before Typhoon Ulysses on November 11 and 12, 3 typhoons visited us, this area. Typhoon Rolly in November 1 and 2, Typhoon Shoni November 6, and Typhoon Tonyo in November 9. So 4 typhoons affected this area of Metro Manila, specifically this area of Pasig Marikina River Basin, that super saturated our area. Ibig sabihin po, basta na ang ating mga tubig, ang ating kabundukan, ang ating catchment area, and with the passing of Typhoon Ulysses, hindi na po kinaya, and Typhoon Ulysses is more than 1:100 return period of storm. So napakalakas po talaga yan. And so we saw the pictures during the time. Next, let's just get through pictures. We woke up in the morning of November 12, if you may, kung naalala nyo po, that Metro Manila was triggered by a very bad typhoon or flooding that is considered to be highest in recent years. Again, ay kumpara kay Ondoy in 2009. Kung titignan po natin, it happened Ulysses in 2020, just a good 11 years. Nakakatakot po yun. Why? In hydrology, there is what we call probability or incidence, the occurrence of high magnitude typhoons. If a 100-year return period flood would occur bukas, delikado po tayo. If it occur within a 10-year span, then masyadong malakas po ang magnitude ng bagyo na dumadalaw sa atin. And with the advent of climate change, there will be more intense, there will be more frequent, and there will be more typhoons coming in the years to come. Ito po ang babala sa atin. That's why we saw in the news, nagulat tayo, baha ang Metro Manila, ang Cagayan, and even Bicol region. And these are the hardest hit provinces that we focus on sa task force, that we will devote our effort in mitigating these floods. Next. Nakita po natin ang Rosario Ware. Ito po yung dinaanan natin kanina if you're coming from Rizal and if you're coming from Pasig. Ito po ay punong-puno during that time. And even the man-made Manggahan Floodway, which is a man-made channel, actually to divert the flow of Marikina River, wag na natin padaanin sa Pasig because Pasig River kapag dinaanan pa ng ganitong kalakas na baha, it will inundate the adjacent municipalities and cities in Metro Manila. But even that Manggahan floodway was overwhelmed by Typhoon Ulysses during that time. Next. We also saw a floating barge itself was struck para yan po ay maipit at para yan po ay matrap in Marikina Bridge. It means na ang tubig po ay tumaas, hindi na po makadaan yung ating mga floating barge. Even the main thoroughfare of EDSA, it was flooded during that time, rendering it unpassable, and really total flooding in these portions of Metro Manila. Next. And when we try to map it out, tignan po namin bakit bumaha at saan ang mga binaha. We saw that the red portions, tignan na lang po natin yung red portions. These are the flooded areas during the time. The upstream of the Marikina River headwater coming from Montalban, yan po ay pulang-pula. Bakit hindi po nakadaloy ang tubig baha ng diretsyo papunta sa Pasig River or sa Laguna Dibay? At some point, there must be some point of constrictions. May pagbara. And we try to map it out and we try to look at it and we identify these areas. Next. there are choke points along the Marikina River Basin as identified by the DNR National Capital Regions. Sila po ay nagkaroon ng ground truthing, drone survey and ground truthing. Ground survey, they saw that these portions actually are the narrowest points of the river. Ano po ibig sabihin nun? If the river is a highway, meron pong mabagal na sasakyan na dumadaloy dito. That's why the slowest velocity or speed of that sasakyan will be the speed of the whole highway. Ganon din po sa ating ilog. Kapag merong point of constriction, nasabi po kanina ng ating butihing mayor that we need a good 4 meter per second. Thank you sir for that very technical understanding. Nung sinabi ni mayor yung nakahinga na po ako, being a hydrologist, we know for a flood water to egress, lumabas, kailangan po natin a good velocity. And that is the project, the point of this Pasig Marikina River Channel Improvement Project under the Dpwh. We will be constructing river walls along this line of Marikina and Pasig River. And we have done the phase 1, 2, and 3. Nasa phase 4 na po tayo this year. And I hope and we pray na ito po ay ma-implement so that we can increase the velocity of our river. Next. And when translated, we saw that from the old Namria map, this is the old map, ito po yung basihan natin ng mga ano ba ang alignment ng ating ilog. We saw that there are constrictions and even sandbars. These are the natural deposition of rivers, accretion of the soil, deposition of sediments in the river that form as a landmass inside. Lumiliit na po ang ibig sabihin, sumisikip na ang ating kailugan, and we need to remove this, to rehabilitate and to restore the Marikina River. Next. From that image, pumunta naman po kami sa DNR, NCR, and the LRA, and we were able to identify these lots, these properties, these parcels of lands that go inside the river. Ang record po niya nasa atin sa DNR, and this we try to enumerate. We have a list of this and we try to look at this. For simple understanding po, yung pula, yan po yung category 1 na tinatawag natin. Meaning, ito po yung mga lupa-lupaan na nasa ilog that is both unclaimed and untitled. And we try to focus in removing these red parts of parcels of lands. Okay? So with this understanding and with this knowledge, we come up with a dredging plan. And we will go into that next slide. For the river plan or the dredging plan of Marikina River, we were able to come up with the priority, phase 1 of the dredging. Ano po ito? Actually, 4 sites po yan kasama. If we are in SM Marikina now, the part of this sandbar just in front of us sa ilog, yan po ay part of the sandbar also. We will try to cut and tatabasan po natin. But as it is, we identified 3 big sites. Site A, Site B, and Site C. Site A, being yung Olandes sewage treatment plant po na tinayuan natin kanina, this is the priority site for phase 1 of the project. Then we will go into that Site C, which is the East Metro Terminal part natin, and then the Site B, which is the Marikina, SMCT Marikina part of the sandbar. Next slide. If we have to look at each and individual sandbar, makita po natin dyan yung area. Ito po yung tinatawag natin na surface area. But do not be misled. Ang liliit naman yan, no. Surface area represents only the part that you can see from the satellite image. Just like the iceberg that sunk the Titanic, malawak po ito sa ilalim. In fact, we were able to compute the volume to be dredged for each and individual. For Site A, around 53,000 cubic meter. For Site B, around 25,000 cubic meter. And for Site C, we have a good 15,000 cubic meter. To give you an understanding, ang isang dump truck po is just 10 cubic meter. The big dump trucks. And we are talking here of thousands of volumes of cubic meter to be dredged. Is it an easy work? No. We have to admit, it is a hard work and we will do it systematically with the help of Dpwh equipment and with the augmentation of the AMP through its Army and through its Navy, the CBs. Next. For the Site A, this is the focus that we first focus natin kanina, yung ating pong inaugurate, around 53,000 cubic meter. Next slide. This is the site that we identified. We actually would like to make a limit of 5-meter easement. Kung meron po tayong alignment ng project that will come on later in the last quarter of this year, magsasetback po tayo around 5 meters wide so that we will not disturb yung pathwalk doon. We will not disturb the alignment of the ship pile where it will be driven and where the dike will later stand on. So yan po ang ating alignment. Next. And as we speak, yung ating po mga tao sa ground, they are laying yung mga staka and the pole so that we will be able to identify it. Next slide is the Metro East Metro Terminal right under the bridge. Ito po, this also the sandbar form around 25,000 cubic meter. It has to go. Next. That is the condition at Site C. Next slide. What is our dredging design? Ano po ang strategy that we will employ for the dredging? Next slide. For this dredging, ang ilog po ng Marikina, we are very thankful malalim. Around 10 meters or 8 meters on the average ang lalim ng tubig Marikina po natin. But when you go down sa Pasig River, around 5 meters, nagiging kalahati ang lalim. Ang luwang po is around 70 to 80 meters. The design should be around 90 meters. So, what we will do, we will dredge. Huhukayin po natin yan ng 8 meter deep and another 2 meter. For the highest water level, we will allocate a freeboard. Ito po yung freeboard na 2 meters para po hindi umapaw. Sakali ulit dumaan ang isang bagyo na katulad ng magnitude ni Ulysses. So this is the strategy of dredging as presented to us by the Bureau of Equipment through Director Noel Ilaw of the Bureau of Equipment. They prepared this one. Next. Ang mga sandbars and the siltations that we have, nakita po natin kanina that is the ideal condition in a laboratory. But kung titignan po natin ang kailugan natin, it is already silted by its riverbed, masyado na po mataas at mababaw. And with the sandbars formed at both banks, ito po yung ating tatargetin for a 10-meter depth of dredging. And when we remove this will not only increase the water capacity of the river, but will also improve the water quality of Marikina River. Next. For the volume computation, gaano karami ba ang ating mahuhukay for each site that is presented as prioritized to have the corresponding volume to be dredged. Total volume around 95,000 cubic meter. Next slide. And for the dredging implementation, you may ask, gaano katagal ba ito gagawin? We have here the schedule and the kind of equipment that we'll be needing. So far, and as we speak, the Dpwh through its National Capital Region through Director Eric Ayapana and its able 9 district engineering offices has committed around 20 dredging equipment. And yung contribution pa ng Army, a good around 30 heavy equipment will be deployed for this operation. When we started Build Back Better Task Force, sa Cagayan po, we devoted around 40 heavy equipment, dredgers and hauling equipment dump trucks. Ang tanong namin, kaya ba natin i-sustain? Thankfully, when we have this call for the deployment of equipment, the Army through its AFP through its Army and its Navy, together with the district engineering officers of the Dpwh, heeded the call and they deployed their own equipment. So thankfully, if we can do it for Cagayan, for Marikina, next third part will be in Bicol, we will also do the same. The total activities we have here, the amount of equipment and the amount of fuel to be consumed to sustain dredging equipment, thankfully po, part of this planning is the allocation of resources in order to sustain this operation. Next. All in all, gaano katagal? We will devote a good 1 to 3 months of operation. If we start by this February, and as we speak, habang nandito po tayo, hindi po ceremonial lang yung nakita nyo kanina, and as we speak, gumagawa na po yung ating mga equipment. And they will be there in the coming days. Ano po makikita natin? There will be dredging operations. There will be hauling of spoiled sites. There will be hauling of dredge material to the spoiled sites, both in lupang areenda that we have identified and in the proposed barangay Nangka by this good LGU, the City of Marikina. Maraming salamat po. And by the end of April, we will see a significant accomplishment of this dredging activity in time. Tama-tama pagdating po ng Mayo, Hunyo, yan po ang pasukan na naman ng bagyo. That's why we will see the effect of this. And next slide, the methodology to be used, ano po ang gagawin natin? Sige po, this is some sort of a animation. Just click on the next slide. If this is the sandbar, hindi po kasi mainam na we have to allocate areas first and we divide it into 12 segments or 12 blocks as we call it. Ito po yung strategy natin. First, we will do the downstream. Why? If we do it in the upstream, as presented by the Bureau of Equipment, there will be some flow and it will destabilize the sandbar, making it very dangerous para po sa ating mga operators. That's why we will do it in downstream. And you can see, nakita nyo po, yung ating pong ground tenere sandbar natin hindi po stable. We will do it from the land side. We will allocate excavators, mga backhoe, and then together with the hauling equipment, yung mga dump trucks tatabi. And because these are long reach arm backhoes and even backhoes that can go inside the river and come out. Amphibious pool, tawagin natin yung pwede sa lupa, pwede sa ilog. They will just place it on the hauling equipment to be transported or hauled in our designated spoil sites. Sige po. So you can have an image of what we will do in the coming days. Sige lang po, pakiclick. You will see that we will do it block by block. Put it in a temporary spoil bank like that or piling. But if the soil or the ground allows, we can immediately put it in the dump truck. Kasi po, nung nasa Cagayan is all the different riverbed materials, sandy lumi, meaning hindi po nahihirapan po yung mga dump trucks natin, especially with the wheeled ones. Nahihirapan po. So for this, nakita naman natin mukhang stable dito. We can always, we can readily put it on our dump trucks to be hauled at designated spoil sites. Next. So there will be also dewatering time. Alam naman po natin that ang hauling natin ay by land. Kailangan po natin patuyuan yan. This will actually slows the operation a little. Why? Hindi po natin pwedeng ilagay yung parang nilugaw na dredge material immediately to the dump truck at ibabiyahin natin. Tayo po ay pagagalitan ng mga LGUs na dadaanan natin. Magpuputik po. And it will damage the roadway. That's why we have to do it. Let it set for the meantime, care of water, dewatering before we haul it out. Next. And there will be the equipment to do that. Next. Sige po, animation na lang yan. And siguro yung last part ng presentation will show you the equipment that we have mobilized and deployed so far. Sige po. We have this equipment coming from our Dpwh NCR regional equipment facilities in Bicutan, na-transport na po rito. And you might have seen, nakita nyo po yung dalawang malaking amphibious excavator. And these are actually the ones that will do the bulk of the work. Next. Sige po. So you can just click on it and makita nyo po the equipment that we have. Like I said, around 30 equipment to be deployed in this site. When we started this po, ang sabi sa amin ni Secretary Mark Villar sa Dpwh, never leave any stone unturned in terms of flood mitigation and in deployment. Utilize the resources that we have in Dpwh in order to assist the flood-affected people. Ang totoo po, with this kind of project, many would have a say or two na wala naman kami nakikita or dapat kalsada or dapat tulay. We can always do those things, those projects. But you know, when it comes to the context of flood mitigation, building a culture of prevention is never easy. Napakahirap po. In fact, the benefits, ano ba yung makikita natin dyan? We might not see it now. But the cost of prevention will be visible in the distant future. In fact, these benefits might not be tangible, hindi pa natin makita. But actually, the benefits will come in the form of the disasters that we will prevent happening in the future. And with that, Secretary Mark Villar, as presented by Undersecretary Robert Bernardo. Sir, we have delivered our equipment here. Secretary Roy Simato, we were together in Cagayan, and we rolled out our equipment. The equipment are here again, sir. They are ready for your disposal. Lead us, and we will roll as one. Maraming salamat po.